Hey guys, Woodruff here. I figured to make this more manageable for myself and for you, I would start making little shorts rather than making longer videos. So hopefully you find these helpful. So this one is going to be a practice question. So I figured just focus on, even if I can just get one practice question done every couple of days or once a week, it'll be something I can continue to give to you. So hopefully you find this helpful. So today's question is a tale of two insulins. So this question, and even if you're not studying this right now, remember this is not necessarily always about knowledge. It's sometimes just about strategy or learning how to approach these questions. Or if you're getting ready to take your NCLEX, it can always start helping to start to bring it all together. So the question states, which action by a patient indicates that the home health nurse's teaching about glargine and regular insulin has been successful? So after I read a question, one of the first things that I like to do is see really what's the question asking? Like, what am I trying to approach here? So we're looking at actions that the patients are going to do, and then we're really evaluating teaching. And remember, with teaching questions, it's either going to ask you, how do you know it's been successful? It's going to make, or it could ask you, how do you know more teaching is required? So really you want to ask yourself after reading a question like this, is this asking, is the teaching like, did they learn something or did they not learn something? Did the teaching work or not work? Like however you want to look at it, but you want to look, are you looking for what's right or what's wrong? So in this question, we're looking for if teaching has been successful. So we're looking for what's right, which means 3 of these have to be wrong. So let's read through the answer choices and see what we can find. So answer choice A says the patient administers the glargine 30 minutes before each meal. So, I mean, if I didn't know anything about insulin, I'm not sure, I'm going to keep going because I want to see what all my choices are, because sometimes, especially if you're just approaching this question with strategy, there's some strategy in this question we can look at to see a better approach for addressing this insulin problem. So I sometimes like to read through, if I have any, like, I'm sure this is not it, sometimes I'll cross it out, but a lot of times I like to kind of see what my options are. If there's any, then I kind of go through which ones can I cross out. The patient's family pre-fills the syringes with the mix of insulins weekly. Okay, that's another one. The patient discards the open vials of glargine and regular insulin after 4 weeks. And then the patient draws up the regular insulin and glargine in the same syringe. So one thing that stands out to me after reading these 4 is that I see that both B and D talk about mixing the insulin, or they're drawing them up together. So one thing, some insulins can be mixed together, but if I remember one thing, long-acting insulin, which glargine is a long-acting insulin, that is not an insulin that can be drawn up with any other insulins. So it has to be done by itself in a different syringe. So automatically, just having that knowledge, I can cross out B and D, because they're not going to be mixed together and they're not going to be in the same syringe. So that's one strategy, is if there's 2 answers that are both saying the same thing, they can't be the right answer if they're both saying the same thing. Now, they're different wordings, but they're saying the exact same thing. So B and D can't be right. So then I'm down to A and C. So A says the patient administers the glargine 30 minutes before each meal. So glargine, again, it's a long-acting insulin. So I have to think about, do I give glargine right before a meal? And if I'm familiar with my glargine, I would know that actually it's not given around meal times. But here's one thing to do. So I know that answer A is wrong, which means C has to be my correct answer. So what most people will be like, oh, okay, I've got C, read the rationale and move on. But a way to make this a higher quality question is then to look, how would these answers have to be changed in order for this to make this correct? So it says the patient administers the glargine 30 minutes before each meal. That answer is wrong. But if that would have said the patient administers the regular insulin 30 minutes before each meal, that would actually be correct. So I'm studying a little bit more. So that answer is wrong, but how could I make it a right answer? Because this is going to help you go a little bit deeper. And then the B and D are incorrect, but okay, the glargine can't be mixed. What insulins can be mixed? So if you see what I'm doing, I'm trying to take information. It's not necessarily what the question's asking, but I'm trying to take, parts of the answer choices or parts of the questions and create other questions to ask myself. It's a great way to quiz yourself. And instead of doing 1,000 questions, you're kind of studying multiple things in one. Because look, in this one question, we studied mixing insulins, we studied long acting, we studied regular, we studied meal times, we studied what can mix, not mix. Like there's a lot of stuff in one question. So instead of just seeing this as one question, I just answer this one part of the question, you can make it into something more. But anyway, that's it for this question today. Hope it helped. See you next time.